Hey, Raiders Nation. It is officially game week, and I could not be more excited to break down what we should expect from the Las Vegas Raiders as they hit the road against the New England Patriots. This is the first week of the season, and let me tell you, there's so much to unpack. I want to go position by position, get into the key matchups, and give you a sense of what might decide this game before kickoff even happens. The truth is, Week 1 is always tricky to predict because we're looking at teams that have changed over the offseason, sometimes drastically, and a lot of it comes down to how those new pieces fit together in the first real test under pressure. But for now, my focus is on the Raiders because that's what we're here for, and it's time to get hyped. Starting at quarterback, the spotlight is on Geno Smith. This is his first game leading the Raiders offense, and while the Patriots have their own storylines and uncertainties, all eyes will be on Smith and how he manages the first snap. Now, we know Geno has had his ups and downs playing outdoors in the past, particularly during his time with the Seattle Seahawks, but he also has the kind of experience that allows him to adjust to different conditions quickly. Historically, out of 50 games he played in outdoor conditions, he threw 43 touchdowns, but also had 31 interceptions with a passer rating hovering around 89. What that tells us is that while he is capable of putting up numbers, there will be moments where decision-making becomes crucial, especially under the pressure of a hostile crowd like the one in New England. For the Raiders, this is less about testing limits and more about setting the tone for the season. A strong showing from Smith could energize the team and create momentum that carries forward, and a first-week victory would send a huge message about the team's potential this year. Moving on to the running back room, this is where the Raiders can really set the tone physically. Ashton Gentry, the number 1 running back drafted this season, is the guy to watch. He's a player built to dominate in both power and speed, capable of breaking tackles and consistently picking up yardage after contact. While there will be touches sprinkled to other backs like Zamir, Raheem, and Dylan Lowey, Gentry is clearly going to be the focal point. The offensive line has a critical role here. If Colt Miller, Dylan Barm, Jordan Merida, Jackson Powers, Johnson, and DJ Glaze can create gaps and maintain blocks, Gentry will have the lanes to explode. One matchup I am particularly excited about is Gentry against Robert Spillane. Spillane has always been a disruptive force in stopping the run, and while he's now with New England, the prospect of seeing Gentry and Spillane collide in the trenches could be one of the game's most physical and exciting moments. Establishing a strong run game from the start is crucial. It not only opens up the play-action opportunities for Smith, but also demonstrates that the Raiders intend to control the tempo and impose their will, even on the road in Foxborough. Now, the wide receiver room is something that often flies under the radar, but in the Chip Kelly offense, it's going to be a showcase. Every receiver is expected to touch the field, and the rotation could be constant. Jacoby is likely to lead the core as the primary target, assuming contract situations allow him to suit up, followed by Trey Tucker as the number 2 option. Amari Cooper may slot in as the 3rd receiver, creating a dynamic lineup alongside Dante Thornton Jr. This group is versatile, capable of stretching the field and adjusting to coverage schemes, which is especially important against the Patriots' defense that will likely match up its best cornerback against the top target. One key matchup to monitor will be Christian Gonzalez, who could be tasked with covering Cooper. His route recognition and coverage skills will be tested, and how the Raiders exploit these matchups could dictate the flow of the passing game. Tight ends also play a pivotal role in the Raiders' offensive scheme, particularly with the mix of Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. Bowers is coming off a record-setting rookie season, so defenses will focus heavily on him, but this opens opportunities for Mayer to make an impact. Using personnel creatively, sometimes lining up Bowers wide and inserting Mayer at tight end, gives the Raiders flexibility and keeps defenses guessing. The goal is to create mismatches and take advantage of New England's linebackers, who may be slower or less agile in coverage. It's all about execution in these first downs, extending drives, and controlling the clock while keeping pressure off the defense. Speaking of the offensive line, this group is arguably the most important factor in determining whether the Raiders can execute their game plan. Protecting Smith, opening lanes for Gentry, and creating time for receivers to find openings will be a monumental task against the Patriots' front, which includes talented players like Milton Williams and Christian Barmore, along with edge threats who thrive in the 3-4 defensive scheme. The Raiders' line must match the physicality, react quickly to stunts and blitzes, and maintain discipline throughout the game. If they succeed, the offense has the tools to dominate. If they falter, the team could struggle to maintain drives or sustain rhythm, making the trenches the ultimate battleground. On defense, pressure on the quarterback will be critical. Max Crosby leads a unit that also features Malcolm, Thierry, Brennan Jackson, and Charles Snowden. They need to disrupt the Patriots' passing game and prevent quarterback Drake May from comfortably executing his offense. Rotations along the defensive line will be frequent, with interior players like Adam Butler and Thomas Booker contributing to various fronts designed to confuse the offensive line and force mistakes. The goal is to make the Patriots one-dimensional, limiting their run game and forcing them into obvious passing situations. Success here will hinge on discipline, timing, and maintaining energy throughout a fast-paced contest. Linebackers will have a particularly challenging test. The unit includes Tremaine Pratt, Landon Roberts, Dion White, and Jamal Adams, all new or recently acquired players who must quickly gel. Coverage is a significant concern. The Raiders cannot afford to be exploited by tight ends or running backs leaking into the flat. At the same time, they must maintain aggression, fill gaps, and stop the run. It's a delicate balance between physicality and awareness, and how effectively they manage it could swing the game. Corners and safeties are under the microscope as well, with Eric Stokes likely on the top receiver and others rotating in nickel packages. Every coverage mistake is magnified. The safeties, including Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Paul-Lamaugh, must prevent big plays, provide run support, and contribute to complex coverage schemes without leaving holes. Both groups will be tested repeatedly, particularly in situations where the Patriots look to exploit mismatches or force the Raiders into reactive situations. The key to all of this is execution, discipline, and understanding the game plan. Raiders fans have a passionate following, and this first game of the season is an opportunity to set a tone. From Smith under center to Gentry pounding the ground, from receivers creating mismatches to the defensive line disrupting plays, every player has a role. This matchup is more than just XS and OS. It's a test of preparation, toughness, and the ability to perform under pressure. If the Raiders can control the trenches, execute in the passing game, manage the clock, and hold up in coverage, there's every reason to believe they can leave Foxborough with a statement victory. The first week is never easy, but it is where foundations are laid, confidence is built, and momentum for the season is created. Now, let's dive into the defensive side of the football, because while the offense often grabs the headlines, it is the defense that can truly dictate the outcome of a tight game. The Las Vegas Raiders defense has seen some significant changes this offseason, and Week 1 is the perfect test to see how all the pieces fit together. Defensive line rotations will be critical, especially against a quarterback like Drake May, who thrives when given time to survey the field. Max Crosby, of course, is the cornerstone of this front. His ability to consistently pressure the quarterback, collapse the pocket, and force errors is unmatched on the team. He has the speed, the technique, and the football IQ to disrupt plays before they even develop. Alongside him, Malcolm, Thierry, Brennan Jackson, and Charles Snowden form a unit that is versatile and capable of lining up in multiple fronts to confuse the offense. But it's not just about individual talent. It's about cohesion. Every player on the line must understand the scheme, trust each other, and execute simultaneously. Even one missed assignment could lead to a broken play and a quick score for the Patriots. Interior defensive tackles are equally important in this matchup. Players like Adam Butler and Thomas Booker will need to hold the line against New England's running game, which includes a promising rookie back in Trayvon Henderson. Chip Kelly's offense is designed to be physical and methodical, so if the Raiders allow the Patriots to consistently run between the tackles, the game could quickly become a grind favoring the home team. The defensive tackles must absorb double teams, maintain gap integrity, and create opportunities for linebackers and edge rushers to make plays. Rotational depth is key here. With 6 interior linemen likely to see the field, the Raiders have the ability to keep fresh legs on the field while presenting different looks to the offense. This kind of strategic flexibility can disrupt timing, frustrate blockers, and force the quarterback to make rush decisions, which is exactly what you want from a well-prepared defense in Week 1. Linebackers, meanwhile, face one of their toughest challenges yet. Tremaine Pratt, Landon Roberts, Dion White, and Jamal Adams are the primary contributors, and they must show they can cover, tackle, and read plays against a versatile Patriots offense. Coverage will be the real test. Patriots tight ends and running backs will frequently leak out of the backfield, and linebackers cannot afford to be slow or out of position. At the same time, they must play aggressively to disrupt the run and pressure the quarterback. It's a balancing act of speed, strength, and instinct, and the first game is the ultimate proving ground. Week 1 is where you see if off-season adjustments, new signings, and training camp work translate into real game performance. The Raiders need their linebackers to cover effectively, close gaps, and communicate flawlessly, because any lapse in coverage could lead to explosive plays that shift momentum in favor of the Patriots. Turning to the secondary, this is where the Raiders' defense might face its most intense scrutiny. Cornerbacks like Eric Stokes, Kai Blue, and Darian Porter are going to be tested constantly. The Patriots' receivers may not have the name recognition of top NFL stars, but they are precise, disciplined, and well-coached. For a cornerback, it's less about raw talent and more about anticipation, technique, and reading the quarterback. Stokes will likely take the top target, which is going to force him into situations where he must make split-second decisions under pressure. Kai Blue and Darian Porter will see rotations in nickel and dime packages, covering slot receivers or tight ends, and the Raiders will have to be creative in how they deploy these players to avoid mismatches. The secondary must communicate at all times, anticipate route combinations, and trust their support from linebackers and safeties to prevent big plays. This is especially important in a game like this, where the Patriots might try to exploit any perceived weakness early. Safeties like Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Paul Lamaw are vital to the overall balance of the defense. Chin will likely play closer to the line of scrimmage, almost like an additional linebacker in certain formations, providing run support and short area coverage. Lamaw will be a hybrid, capable of covering deep zones, but also stepping up into the box when the play calls for it. Their ability to read the quarterback, react to motions, and make open field tackles is critical. Mistakes in this area can quickly turn a manageable situation into a touchdown for the opposition. Safeties are often overlooked by casual fans, but in a tight game, their positioning, decision-making, and timing can determine field position, force turnovers, or prevent them entirely. Week 1 will be the ultimate test of their preparation, instincts, and adaptability against a team that is methodical but capable of quick-strike plays. In conclusion, the Raiders' defense will face a multifaceted test against New England. From pressuring the quarterback and controlling the line of scrimmage to maintaining coverage integrity, supporting the run, and executing special teams flawlessly, every player has a role that contributes to the outcome. The combination of preparation, physicality, instinct, and composure will determine whether the Raiders can walk out of Foxborough with a statement win or leave with questions to answer heading into Week 2. Each position, each matchup, and each play carries significance. This is the first real opportunity to see if off-season moves, coaching strategies, and team chemistry translate to game day execution. Week 1 is where foundations are laid, reputations are made, and the trajectory of the season begins to take shape. Raiders Nation will be watching every snap, and this defense has a chance to prove that they are ready to compete at the highest level. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rich Gannon, former NFL MVP and iconic quarterback, has recently stirred a wave of speculation across the football world with remarks that are quickly becoming the talk of the league. In an unexpected turn, Gannon openly questioned the current direction of the Las Vegas Raiders, emphasizing the urgent need for the franchise to commit significantly more resources if it hopes to return to prominence. His comments, delivered during a candid interview that fans and analysts alike have been dissecting, suggest that the Raiders are at a crossroads, teetering between mediocrity and the resurgence that their storied history demands. Gannon did not mince words when he implied that the team's leadership must invest not only financially, but also strategically in its roster and coaching staff, hinting at a gap between potential and execution that has frustrated longtime supporters. The former quarterback's stature in NFL circles lends his statements additional weight, fueling conversations in sports media outlets, fan forums, and locker rooms across the league. Whether Gannon intended his remarks as a critique or as a rallying cry, the result is clear. Speculation about the Raiders' next moves has intensified as insiders and pundits debate the feasibility and timing of the investments he suggests. His perspective on the franchise's future, though controversial to some, underscores a growing consensus that substantial changes may be required to keep the Raiders competitive in an increasingly dynamic NFL landscape. What makes Gannon's statements even more provocative is his insistence that incremental adjustments will no longer suffice for a team that carries both a passionate fan base and a legacy of memorable moments, including a Super Bowl victory that remains a benchmark for success. He hinted at a disconnect between management's current strategy and the expectations placed upon the franchise by supporters who long for consistency and championship contention. Observers have noted that his focus on investment extends beyond player acquisitions, suggesting that organizational culture, scouting, and coaching structures all require reevaluation to align with the modern demands of the NFL. Analysts have speculated that Gannon's remarks could be signaling his interest in having a consultative or advisory role, although he stopped short of offering specifics about any formal engagement with the Raiders. The implications of his comments have generated a flurry of debates on social media, with fans dissecting every word for clues about the team's internal dynamics and potential offseason strategies. Moreover, some insiders have drawn parallels between the Raiders' current predicament and other historically significant NFL franchises that underwent transformative investments to return to relevance, framing Gannon's statements as a possible blueprint for similar action. As speculation mounts, the Raiders' front office has remained characteristically tight-lipped, further intensifying rumors and allowing narratives to flourish unchecked, keeping the league's attention firmly on Las Vegas. Equally intriguing is the timing of Gannon's commentary, which coincides with ongoing discussions about quarterback development, salary cap management, and the increasingly competitive landscape of the AFC West. By voicing his perspective now, he has injected fresh momentum into debates about how the Raiders might navigate future drafts and free agency periods. Experts have suggested that Gannon's viewpoint implicitly criticizes prior decisions that may have prioritized short-term fixes over sustainable growth, a critique that resonates with those who follow the franchise closely. Fans have taken to online platforms to express a mixture of frustration and hope, interpreting his statements either as validation of long-standing concerns or as a call for bold leadership to reinvigorate the team. Meanwhile, rival franchises are reportedly observing the fallout from his remarks with keen interest, aware that public scrutiny can accelerate internal decision-making and even influence market behavior during the offseason. The undercurrent of speculation is palpable as whispers circulate about potential high-profile acquisitions, coaching adjustments, and changes in scouting priorities, all framed against Gannon's insistence that meaningful investment is non-negotiable for a team aspiring to compete at the highest level. With the NFL media ecosystem primed to amplify every nuance, the Raiders find themselves at the center of a narrative that blends both uncertainty and opportunity, leaving every stakeholder, from executives to fans, on edge, wondering how and when the franchise will respond to this high-profile nudge. Adding further fuel to the speculation is Gannon's historical perspective on the league, which lends authority to his argument and prompts comparisons to other transformative periods in NFL history. By drawing on his firsthand experience as a quarterback who led a franchise to playoff success, he implicitly frames his suggestions as grounded in practical knowledge rather than idle opinion. Commentators have noted that Gannon's insight into team dynamics, leadership accountability, and quarterback performance offers a multi-layered critique that goes beyond surface-level observations, compelling insiders to rethink conventional approaches to roster building and strategic investment. This has led to rampant conjecture about how the Raiders might respond in both immediate and long-term contexts, with rumors ranging from blockbuster trades to a restructuring of the coaching hierarchy. Fans and journalists have speculated endlessly on whether Gannon's remarks will provoke internal debates, accelerate decision-making, or simply serve as a wake-up call for a franchise that has struggled to match its historical potential in recent years. The sheer volume of conversation generated by his statements has, in itself, become a news cycle driver, reinforcing the notion that the Raiders' current trajectory is a subject worthy of sustained attention. As the murmurs grow louder, industry insiders continue to parse the implications, assessing whether this moment will catalyze real change or merely exist as a fleeting point of commentary in a league accustomed to bold declarations and rapid shifts in fortune. Ultimately, the broader narrative that Gannon has sparked may redefine how the Raiders' season, and perhaps several seasons to come, are perceived by the league at large. If his call for significant investment is taken seriously by management, it could mark a decisive pivot, reshaping team culture, talent acquisition strategies, and fan engagement in ways that ripple far beyond a single season. Meanwhile, skeptics argue that public commentary from a former player, even one of Gannon's stature, may have limited impact on operational decisions, and some have dismissed the remarks as reflective of nostalgia rather than actionable insight. However, the intensity of the reactions, from mainstream sports outlets to niche analytical blogs, indicates that the conversation is already influencing perceptions of the Raiders' ambition and potential. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.